Hi everyone, this is Restorative Yoga with Mel. I'm Mel, and in today's session we're going to explore a very simple restorative yoga practice that's really wonderful for helping to soothe any feelings of anxiety or worry that we might have. So in today's session, if you're using a yoga mat, you might like a blanket to go on top of it. If you don't have a mat, that's fine. Just make sure that there's something soft and warm beneath you. I'm also going to be using this yoga chair, so if you don't have a yoga chair, don't worry about it. They're quite specialist bits of equipment, so you probably won't have one. If you don't have one, then just use a footstool or something that will be more or less this height. You can always, if you've got a stool, you can always put cushions on it. You might even find, depending on the type of sofa that you've got, that you can use the sofa for this. So do feel free to improvise and get creative. It's amazing what you can use at home in replacement for actual yoga equipment. So we've got our chair, and then we're also going to use a few blankets. So the more the merrier when it comes to blankets. One of the blankets is to go over the chair. So this is really if you've got a metal chair, so that you've got some softness and some warmth underneath your leg. So we'll be putting the leg on this chair very shortly. We're also going to use a blanket as a pillow for the head, and you really want to make sure with using blankets in restorative yoga to always take a bit of time to make sure they're quite smooth and neatly folded. It might seem like not really a big deal, but because you're still in the postures for quite some time, it does make a difference. So you've got a blanket there as a pillow for your head. You can of course just use a pillow or a cushion if you prefer. An extra blanket is to use as a cover if you feel like you might get a bit cold because you're not really moving in this position. Then it's likely the body temperature will drop. So do feel free to get an extra blanket and just have that somewhere where you can easily reach it. In restorative yoga, we're lying down a lot, and it can be nice to have an eye pillow just to place over your eyes. So if you don't have an eye pillow, you can always use a clean sock or a scarf, something like that. So just make sure anything that you want to use, again, is somewhere that you can find it easily when you're lying on the floor. Last of all, we're going to take a bolster. If you don't have a bolster, just use a cushion. And to get into the posture, we're going to take our chair and shift it over to the right. So it's half on and half off the mat. From here, the bolster's going down the left-hand side, and then use your arms to support you as you bring your right leg onto the chair seat. So you want the back of the knee to come all the way up to the edge of the chair, and ideally, not ideally, but perhaps your foot is, as mine is now, flat to the chair. You might find, however, that your foot is hovering in the air like this. If this happens, then take some extra support, so for example, another blanket, and then place that under your ankle so that your foot's got some support. Otherwise you might find it just goes to sleep. So you can take that if you need to. So the right leg is on the chair, and then we're lengthening the left leg out. So the hip, the knee and the ankle are in line. There's some support down by that left foot. This is to keep your toes pointing up to the ceiling. And you may find that your foot does flop out to the side a little bit. If it happens a little bit, it's no big deal. But do put something next to your ankle just for that a bit of support. And then we're going to lower all the way down onto our backs. And this is where you can adjust your pillow. So if when you lie down, you find that your chin is pointing up towards the ceiling, then just draw your chin back towards your chest. And if you can't draw it back in towards your chest because the neck is a little bit stiff, then all you do is you make your pillow a little bit thicker. This is why blankets make good pillows, because you can adjust the height of them. And then you just make sure that the neck and the head are comfortable. And if you want to pop your eye pillow on over your eyes, you're welcome to do so. So this is the posture, and the reason I like this posture so much, and the reason that I'm sharing it with you in relation to anxiety is because this posture is targeting the psoas muscle. And this is a muscle that's deep inside your body. It's one of the core muscles, and it attaches at the back of your rib cage, so around your thoracic spine. I believe it connects on different parts of the spine on different people. And then it makes its way down and it comes forward from the back of the body to the front of the body, through the pelvis, and then connects to the front of the thigh. So it essentially is joining the back of your body and the front of your body. It's quite a long muscle, about 16 inches long, fairly thick. And it's a muscle which is very active when we go into fight and flight. And I'm sure many of you have heard of fight and flight before. But if you're not familiar with what it is, then essentially it's the response of the brain when it thinks that our life is in danger. So it's a very old biology. It's from the limbic brain. It goes all the way back to caveman times. And if you imagine you're a caveman or a cavewoman and you're wandering through the jungle and you suddenly come across a man-eating tiger, in that moment you're going to need to either fight the tiger or, more realistically, try and run away from the tiger. This is what we call fight or flight. So your muscles tense, your breath becomes shorter, your pupils dilate so that you can see more, your blood pressure goes up, your breath becomes shorter and sharper. All of these things are designed to help you fight or flight, to run away. So if we fast forward to modern day life, I know I'm not certainly experiencing many tigers in my day-to-day experience, but certainly we are experiencing different forms of stress that our brain perceives as life-threatening. Although the stresses that we face are not like if we face the tiger. If we face the tiger, there's going to be an outcome one way or the other fairly immediately. If our stresses are around things like money, relationships, the environment, these aren't situations that are going to be resolved so quickly. So what can happen is that over time we stay in fight or flight. We keep activating this response which starts to wear us down and can start to create a perpetual sense of anxiety and tension so that we never feel safe. And restorative yoga brings us out of that, and it brings us out of fight and flight into rest and digest and into a feeling of safety. And this posture in particular is working with that psoas muscle, which gets very tight and tense if it thinks we're going to need to run away very quickly. It starts to allow that muscle to soften, to lengthen and release, and send a signal to the mind that we are safe. So it's one of my favourites. And it's really wonderful practice to do regularly. We will do for about 10 minutes on each side today, but you can do it for up to 20 minutes on each leg. And once you're in the posture, you're not really trying to do anything. But you might notice things like your breath begins to change. You might notice your thoughts or emotional state begin to change. And really all we do is observe and pay attention. We just notice. And this is really a practice of becoming more present. When we become more present, by becoming more aware of the body and the breath, we're able to just see a little bit more clearly. So as the mind begins to slow down and the breath very naturally begins to soften and the body begins to relax, we find ourselves moving away from that anxious state into a quieter state of being. And so if you're enjoying being here, you're welcome to stay here for longer. Maybe just press pause on the video, set a timer for another 10 minutes. But if you're ready to take this to the other side, then we start by bending up the left leg, foot on the floor. Bring the right leg in towards you so it comes off the chair, and then roll carefully onto the left hand side. And just rest on the side for a few moments. And then when you're ready, use your arms and push yourself all the way up. And then we'll take that on the other side, so we can move the bolster out of the way, and then we'll take the chair across, so it's now half on, half off the mat on the left hand side. So we're supporting the leg, and remember that we want this left leg to be straight so that it doesn't end up kind of going completely off to one side. So the leg is straight, and you've got some support there next to the foot. And then we bring the left leg up onto the chair. The knee comes all the way up to the back of the chair. Remember that if your foot is hovering, you just put some extra support there, and then you lower nice and carefully back down. If it feels a bit much for you to lower back down when your leg is straight, just bend it. Make it easier, and then once you are on your back, then you can lengthen it. And you might feel that you do start to get a bit chilly from not moving, so you can just cover yourself with a blanket, and again let the arms relax, popping on the eye pillow. The eye pillow can be nice directly above the eyes, but also slightly higher so it's on your eyebrows. And some people prefer that because you get the shade without so much weight directly on your eyes, so you can try that if you like. And then again, we start to come into some stillness. And it's really nice for me to be practicing this with you wherever you are in the world and whatever time of day. Just remember that the word yoga means union and connection. So you're connected with all the other people around the world that are practicing. And in yoga we start to explore that connection with our body and our breath and our mind. And so you might just begin to notice once again the shape of your breath. The sound of your breath. Perhaps there's some other sounds around you. Hopefully it's quite peaceful where you are, but sometimes life doesn't go like that. So if there are sounds, just acknowledge them. Start to notice the feeling of the blanket against your body, the feeling of your clothes against your skin. Become aware of the hands and the touch of the air. And the weight of the body on the floor. And if the mind is particularly busy today, there's really nothing to worry about. But just remember that all it takes is practice, just regular practice of restorative yoga helps you to embody the qualities of slowing down and being still. Helps you to embody the feeling of calmness and relaxation. And then whatever we experience in the body, we can also experience in the mind. Some days the mind is busy and some days it's more calm. All we need to do is observe. And so, if you stayed longer on the other side, then make sure you do the same amount of time on this side. Otherwise, if you're just following along with the video, then you start to think about moving now. So bending up that right foot and rolling off the chair onto the right hand side. And spend as long as you like on your side, just resting quietly here. And then you can make your way up to sitting. And just sit for a moment, enjoying the effects of the practice. Hopefully feeling a little bit more calm and grounded. And then we'll finish there. Thank you for practicing with me. Namaste.